What up, this is my WWE 2008 Draft Thoughts from last night's Raw, and overall I would say the show was pretty much enjoyable. The first pickup was for Raw, and they got Rey Mysterio. And this is kind of good and kind of bad for Raw. Obviously, this is going to be somewhat of a loss for SmackDown as far as the ratings-wise goes, because Rey Mysterio was one of those huge draws for the Hispanic and Latino fans. And unless WWE still can somewhat get those fans with someone else, and that's a huge loss for at least that demographic as far as WWE goes. But this definitely could be good. I like to see him have some good matches with Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels. Him and Randy Orton worked well together, so this could be very good. Do I see him getting pushed straight to the world title? I don't think so, but he has a lot of name value in him, so that could be one thing that could help him out within this. So, but pretty much I see him as a upper mid-carder / contender for the world title. Then the next pickup was SmackDown got Jeff Hardy. And this is definitely a good thing for Jeff Hardy going to Raw to SmackDown. I would have preferred him being on the ECW brand just because I thought he needs to be taught somewhat of a lesson, but still, he is very marketable, so WWE put him on SmackDown. And pretty much, I got to say, with this draft, it didn't really hurt Raw and pretty much really helped SmackDown a lot. So, in ECW, everyone knew they wouldn't get that much within this draft. So, Jeff Hardy, he could do some good stuff on SmackDown. Possibly him and Edge could have a feud over the world title. Him and Undertaker had, a pretty decent ladder match, so that would be pretty cool to see that. So, some more different feuds, so that could be one good thing with him being on the SmackDown brand, but unfortunately someone else got on there. Well, not unfortunately, but pretty much this is probably going to hold these two back of doing anything. Later on the show, Umaga got drafted to SmackDown, so that's probably going to stick them into a feud that they will never, ever end. So you'll probably see Umaga and Jeff Hardy feud for a little while, at least at the beginning, probably. Then the next pick was for Raw. Raw got CM Punk. And definitely this is somewhat of a shocker because I thought he would most likely, I knew he would change brands, but I thought he would more likely go to the SmackDown brand. But this is definitely going to be good, and especially with one other person that's not going to be on the Raw brand anymore to hold him back from possibly being a future world champion. That's a good thing, and I'll get to that person in a little bit. And you can see some great stuff with CM Punk. I would love to see him and Shawn Michaels. Him and Jericho have had good matches. And him and Orton I could see being a very good title feud. And him and Cena, I know people don't like Cena, but them two I could see producing very good matches, and I would really enjoy seeing them. Then the next pick was for ECW, their one and only pick for the night, and they got Matt Hardy. This could be a good thing. Unfortunately, you still got the loose ends of ECW, the worst part of ECW, the ECW champion, Kane, and, you got Big Show contending for it. But if you put Matt Hardy going for the ECW title, that could be good, because pretty much in WWE's eyes, they don't view him as a world champion for Raw or SmackDown, but he could possibly be an ECW champion. But I do see him, in my opinion, I think he was worthy of being a future contender to the SmackDown title because I wouldn't say he's as over as Jeff Hardy, but he's pretty close of being as over as Jeff Hardy. And Matt Hardy pretty much has been jobbed out for a long time in his career, and the fans are still behind him. Whereas, Jeff Hardy, he's fucked up so many times. Hopefully with his switch to SmackDown, that will help him. At first, I thought they would keep Matt Hardy on SmackDown due to the fact that I thought they wanted Jeff Hardy to be on the show with Matt Hardy because Jeff Hardy somewhat acts okay when he's around his brother Matt, but with the merger of ECW and Raw coming up, pretty much you're not going to see these two on. These two are not going to be working on the same night. So hopefully Jeff Hardy will get his shit together, and if he gets his shit together, he could be a future Hall of Famer and he can do some great stuff for WWE. But he still needs to somewhat prove that he's changed. Then the next thing up was that you saw a switch up between the color commentators, and definitely a huge shocker here. You saw JR get switched to SmackDown, so him and Mick Foley are going to be commentating on SmackDown, and you saw Michael Cole get switched to Raw with Jerry the King Lawler. Obviously, Jerry the King Lawler and Michael Cole, they've worked pretty good as a color commentating team back in the day, a long time ago on SmackDown, so they could work good, but for Raw, I don't know if that's good. And, JR, in my opinion, he's been in that position for so long, and him and Jerry the King Lawler have commentated on Raw so many times. This is going to be kind of weird not seeing Jim Ross on Raw. But, this could be one thing to make it look like they're trying to make SmackDown somewhat look like an equal show with Jim Ross being on there, probably easily the best commentator in WWE. And you got a few good change-ups within this draft, too. Then the next thing was you saw Batista get switched to Raw. And this is going to be a good thing depending on one thing. Batista does have to turn heel because his character is starting to get a little stale and lackluster. So, if he has a great heel turn, and I can see him and John Cena having a great summer to fall feud. And, if you do that, that could be very good. Batista does need a change in his character. So, hopefully after Night of Champions, he will turn heel, and this will lead to, like I said, a pretty good long feud with John Cena. Because them two, I don't know if they've ever took on each other in a one-on-one match, but if they have, it hasn't been in a long, long time. So definitely that would be a good thing to see. And another thing I like to see is, within that feud later on, probably later this year, with CM Punk being on the Raw brand, him cashing in the Money in the Bank just like Edge, and defeating John Cena. Because I think, if he defeats John Cena, that's obviously going to give him a lot of credibility. Because, with as far as the world title goes, not that many people defeat John Cena. So if they do that with Punk, that could gain him a lot of credibility as far as Raw goes and WWE in general goes. But then the next switch was to SmackDown, and definitely, like I said earlier with Jeff Hardy, this is Umaga. Definitely, hopefully they start pushing him a little better and put him back into that monster heel role. That make him a fearful monster and make him a strong heel. If they do that and make him a good contender for the world title, I could see him possibly being a future world champion on SmackDown. I would like to see him and Undertaker in a feud. That could be very good. You did hear rumors a long time ago that them two were possibly going to have a summer feud, but still they have to probably continue with this Undertaker and Edge feud, so don't know where this is going to put Umaga. It's probably going to put Umaga, like I said earlier, in a feud with Jeff Hardy for a little bit, but them two have had good matches, but I want to at least see something different from both Jeff Hardy and Umaga, not a feud that has been going on for so long and, has run its course. So hopefully they do some good stuff with Umaga on SmackDown. I think it's a good switch for him. Then the next pick was Raw, and this was the probably least important pick of the whole entire night, and that's even including the color commentators. And this is Kane. Kane, the ECW champion, is now on Raw. Now, a lot of people are speculating that probably he's going to lose the ECW title this coming Sunday at Night of Champions. Now, that could possibly happen, and it might not happen, because just like I said earlier, Raw and ECW are going to be merging soon, and right at this time, Big Show's on SmackDown, but with ECW and Raw merging soon, that's not going to let that will make Big Show have to work both nights if he becomes the ECW champion. But hopefully, do something new with the ECW title. Have Matt Hardy and Shelton Benjamin have a feud. I would really like seeing that. Most likely, you will see Matt Hardy lose the U.S. title this coming Sunday, and they can go in a couple different routes as far as the world title goes. Then the last pick of the night was two picks to Monday Night Raw, and this was Kennedy at first, which I think is a very good pick, change up for him, and him and Edge could somewhat continue their feud. Edge cost Kennedy his future shot at the world title by getting his Money in the Bank and cashing in to defeat Undertaker, so you could bank off of that, and I think them two could have a very good feud because both of them are great on the mic. Edge is great as a heel, and Kennedy's starting to prove he can be great as a face or a heel, so that could be a very intriguing feud to see. And then the last pick of the night was the hugest shocker of the night was Triple H getting switched to SmackDown. And as far as, doesn't look like any supplemental draft or any trades are going to be happening anytime soon as far as, WWE.com's not saying anything or any of the news sites. So it looks like Triple H is staying put on SmackDown because at first when I heard this, I was like, no, please do not do the same thing they did 4 years ago and have, 5 or 6 wrestlers trade it for Triple H, because that would, obviously it would stroke Triple H's ego, but it would hurt this draft as far as the credibility of it. So glad they're not doing that and letting him stay on SmackDown, unless they try to do something with this whole end of Raw, which was the worst part and probably the worst angle since the Vince McMahon's dead angle. Now they have, at the end of Raw, they did an angle where Vince McMahon supposedly got injured, the stage collapsed and stuff like that, and looked very, very. It didn't even look like it was real. It looked real fake, and was a waste of time. And hopefully they don't waste too much time on this like they did with the Vince who killed Vince or anything like that.